In the beginning was the word.
I see. You think religion is for suckers and easy marks and mollycoddles, huh? You think Jesus was some kind of a sissy, eh? Jesus had guts.
Hi, and welcome to History Makers. I'm Matt Freda. Today we're speaking with international gospel recording artist Freda Mitchell. Now, Freda has travelled all over the world performing for some of the biggest names you've ever heard. Have a listen to this. Oprah Winfrey, Bill Cosby, George Bush, Bill Clinton, and President Obama over in the US. It's just an honour to have her here in the studio here with us. Welcome to History Makers, Freda.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, when I first walked into the radio station here today and saw you, I just saw a glow coming out of your face, a smile and a shine. And
praise God.
You can see that you've got Jesus living inside you. It's wonderful to see.
That's right. I love the Lord.
Let's find out a bit of your story.
Okay.
Tell us about where you're from and what your upbringing was like.
Okay. I'm from America, USA, San Francisco, California, USA. Grew up with six brothers and sisters. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister and myself, which total of 7. Grew up in a very, very strong Christian family. My mother always believed in us having family prayer together, and she didn't care where you went on Saturday night, but Sunday morning, everything in her house had to go to church. Regardless of how you felt or what you were dealing with, you had to go to church. So very, very strong Christian background roots, and just prayer and fasting and praying. We did all that together as a family, which made they always say in America, the family that prays together stays together. So that's my history of my family.
And what about your teenage years? You know, often these kids that are brought up in church, they tend to stray a bit in their teenage years. How did you go? Did you keep it real? Or,
I had to keep it real. We came from a church where they were really, it was considered a mega ministry back in the late 60s, late 70s, 80s. We had a 100-voice choir. I was a part of that choir, but I joined church when I was 5 years old. So we grew up from praying and fasting and everything. All that was a part of my life. So I was very, very religious as a kid, very strong Christian backgrounds. I'd be outside playing and then go in house for my prayer time and pray as a kid. And then I'd come back out and play with the kids and be praying for everybody at school. And everybody loved me at school and was following me around. She's a Christian girl. Yeah, that's me. I was never intimidated at school because my life was so big in our big church outside of school and things. So I was trying to get the kids to come to church and that kind of thing. But life was really, really good for us. And tell us about the steps it took from just being a part of your church to actually having a travelling ministry, you know, going into full-time ministry, singing and performing. I think just really being faithful to my church all those years, because I really didn't leave my church till I was 30 years old. And started a ministry of touring and things like this from 5 to 30. I mean, I was right there, and my pastor knew that he could depend on me for the radio, for the TV ministry, just being faithful to that. And I think when God saw my heart and I wanted to venture out and do some of the things that I wanted to do, because I was faithful to that, he was faithful to me in blessing me in the things, being able to sing for Oprah, and he said he would take you before great men and women of God, and he's done that. I've even sang for the president of Italy.
Yeah,
I've been to Italy and Paris and the different countries and sang for the royal families, things like that. Yeah.
So tell us about what it was like singing for Oprah. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, well, I was actually in Chicago for a revival, and we had sent over a fax. I guess one of the members had sent over a fax saying that we were coming, and she was interested in the fact that I was a recording artist and an international artist, and I ended up on the show. She was doing a show on entertainment with Steven Spielberg, and that day she was doing 2 shows on the Holocaust and the experiences that some of the people went through in the Holocaust and entertainment. And I ended up talking about being interviewed for gospel and what makes it entertainment and how do you separate the two and how much you should be making and what you should look for and that kind of thing. It was a really nice interview. I had my 15 minutes of fame. Really good.
Now, gospel music in the States is huge.
It's major.
You know, over here in Australia, we've got the Christian music scene,
yes,
and a lot of it is rock. And there's a bit more R&B flavours coming into it, but we've probably heard of artists like the Winans.
Yes.
You know, I know you've sung with Vicky Winans
Yes,
and some of the
yes.
Winan family. We may have heard of Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
Some of those guys, Fred Hammond. You know,
Yes.
some of those you hear them in the Christian scene a little bit. But
Yes.
tell us what gospel music's about. Is it all kind of black gospel music,
Yeah.
or is it to do with the lyrics? Like what defines gospel music?
Gospel music is healing for the soul.
Yeah,
Because
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, you could be going through something and you hear a song and you just release. I mean, before you even know it. I mean, you get the hair bumps on your arms. That's the anointing just covering you, and you're able to release and feel the presence of God in gospel music. I think it's food for the soul. For anybody. And people call it black gospel music, but all the songs and most of the songs that we do, they're in the hymn book. So they're for every church, everybody. It's just a style and a culture thing that we may have that just takes it over the top a little bit, but it's anybody can sing Amazing Grace, you know. But when you hear a black person singing, it's like Amazing Grace. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know I didn't ask you about this beforehand, but you know, people are probably curious to know how you go a cappella. You know, you just mentioned Amazing Grace. Would you want to belt out a tune for us here?
Yeah, Amazing Grace is really easy. You see, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost. I could go on and on and on.
I was a bit worried you're going to say, no, I can't sing on cue.
Well, I do tons of acapella.
Oh, you can sing on cue. I got shivers up my spine. I'm sure there are people all over the world now pulling over their cars, wiping the tears away from their eyes.
Look, to God be the glory. In Italy, in those countries, you have to do spirituals and acapella numbers before you get into the stuff with the music and the drums, and because they really appreciate that much more than the traditional sounds or the contemporary sounds. So if you give them that, they'll listen to your other stuff. If you don't, they'll get up and walk out or just start booing or something like that. So I had to learn a lot of spirituals and a lot of hymns and anthems and things like that. Yeah.
Now I'm curious to know some of the roots of gospel music.
Yes.
Now, we hear about the Negro spirituals,
yes,
hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about the history. Do you know much?
A little bit about the history is a lot of songs were sang for codes. Couldn't hear nobody pray way down yonder by myself. Couldn't hear nobody pray, and then another slave would know what that meant, and they would go sing it to another section, another area, and they would meet up because they knew what each song meant. So it was like a little secret codes in the songs, that I'm hurting, I need some help, I need to get away, that kind of thing. So they did it through song. Yeah.
Now let's just touch on that for a moment, because racism has been a big issue in the past.
Yes.
I think the younger generations today, it isn't as much of a problem as it was for our parents' generation.
Yeah, they're not having it now.
Yeah.